Okay.
All right, let me see the cottage.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Okay. So let's start from the beginning. What was going on with you and your wardrobe before we met?
it was a nightmare. Like, I dreaded finding clothes. I purposely didn't like going to events because I was like, I don't know what I'm going to wear. And yeah, there were events that I didn't go to because I didn't know what to wear. And it was an easy, convenient excuse to not go to something. And I can't do that in my business, you know? So it just was, I found you on LinkedIn, and the stuff, your content that you posted, I really connected with. Like, it spoke to me on a deeper level than just finding clothes. And it was really about who you are. And I don't know, like, where to begin. I mean, there's just so many good things about it. And I was saying before, I guess, so like the process, you took me through your process, and I was able to trust you really easily. And right off the bat, that this is what she does. This is going to work for me. And it was so new to me. I'm like, I don't even know. Is this a blazer? Is this a jacket? I don't know what these terms are. You you guided me on like what styles were. I didn't know that there were, terms to describe certain types of styles. And the one thing I remember when you took me through the process of finding out what my style was, when you were like, go and find stuff that appeals to you. And don't think about like, can I wear this or not? And I could feel that coming up in my head all the time of like, oh, I like that on her, but I can't wear that. And I really had to intentionally nix that negative thought. And I was like, I like that. And a part of it, I think, is I trusted you, that I feel like you were able to still find aspects of that style that then worked with my body type. And I just, it's like, I didn't know what I was doing, and I was just trusting the process and being like, I like that. I like that. I like that. And it was really like freeing, that process of being able to push out that negative thought, to be like, well, you can't wear that. That's not going to look the same on you. I was like, I'm just going to,
Whatever.
Yep.
It's the same thing with our business, right? Like, we have these crazy ideas, and we can put our foot on the brake and say, but how? And that's not what this is about. That's my job to do that.
Yeah. And there was like the way you were able to find some of that unique style out of me picking out what I liked seeing on other people. And we talked about, the unique, like a splash of color, or you just introduced me to a whole new world of how to fit clothes to you and feeling comfortable. It was amazing.
Of that. And it's so funny because when I remember specifically, there's a pair of like yellow velvet boots that I was looking for you. And my son was standing over my shoulder, and he literally said, I couldn't picture you wearing those. I guess like for some reason, like my son knows what I do. And but for some reason he like thinks if I'm looking at something online in a store, it's like to shop for me.
For you.
And I'm son's like, oh God, she's gonna coach me again. That's just a lesson. Like, I was like, Sunday morning, you woke me up at 5 a.m. Come over here. And I remember saying to him, like, my job is not to have to dress someone like I dress, because my job is actually to pull out of someone what makes them light up and what makes them feel confident. And that's, I think, one of the challenges that people have with working with me or getting some help with their wardrobe is like, oh, she's just going to, dress me like her. And how does this actually work? Because it's virtual. Like, it's weird. Like, let's call a spade a spade. Like, how is she going to figure this out? We're on opposite ends of the country. We're completely different people. And our bodies are different. How the hell is this going to work? It's odd. Like, I'll just call a spade a spade. And what I do and what I actually unleash in people, what makes them feel confident, because it's nothing to do with me. I mean, I'm the person who knows all of the things about what styles look good on you, what shapes look good on you, the right questions to ask, but it got nothing to do with me. It's all about you.
it's a fun process because I liked that it took work on my end. Like, to make this work, I had to trust the process and push out those negative self-talk. And even if I was like, I don't know how this is going to work, just do it and try it and surprise yourself. I mean, and like when you had me go into my closet to pick out like things I liked in my closet, that was so kind of disheartening to be like, I don't really have anything in there. And, but it was also kind of freeing to be able to admit to that for some reason. And you made me feel comfortable through the whole process of that as well. And I knew it was just, it was just, I mean, I think that's just so cool, Melanie, of like what you're doing from a lifting other people up in through their clothing and this, external covering that we get to choose, we get to choose what we want to do with this. That's another part of us. I mean, like in leadership, right? Like lifting somebody up to find what works for them. And, it's not about you, like you said, but I just think that is a really cool gift that you've been able to find your niche with styling clothes for people like that. But it's just so much more than just clothes. Like, it's that emotional boost and that support of, what's already in there with somebody, and you just help them kind of crank it up another notch.
Yeah, I love that.
It's pretty cool.
Thank you. And that's where I think like the disconnect comes, especially like as a overachieving, can I call you that?
Yes.
Woman that like wants to get it done, run your own business. Like, it's not like you're sitting there waiting for things to happen. But there's also that disconnect, like, let's just say, of like, oh, this is close, like it shouldn't matter. Like we get into this and then we start beating ourselves up, because this is what I hear from clients all the time, is that this shouldn't matter and this shouldn't think. But you, like you said before, you're not going to something because of your clothes, which then you go down this rabbit hole of this is vain, I'm being girly, and then like you start like beating yourself up because of that. But once we kind of have this moment of like, it's actually much more than clothes. Like clothes are the end product. Clothes are the things that we need to wear on our body because it's not appropriate to go out of the house naked. But, but it's much more than that. It's identity. And especially as a business owner that's growing, there's things that are happening that it's who am I in this world, especially if you work in a very male dominated field.
Mm-hmm.
How do I exist in here? Like, how do I operate? How do I act? Like, there's not many that have gone before you to emulate. And in certain industries, there are the person that have gone before you. So you can go and look and what she do. Yeah, not 100% like the way to do things, because it's not building confidence and it's not finding your own way. But when there's not someone to look for or look out for to see what she's doing to pave the way, it's really about taking it into your own hands, but also realizing it's much more than clothes.
It is. And I mean, especially for, the women that are entrepreneurs and running their own business, like, taking advantage of the opportunity that clothes can provide to help support how you feel about yourself and the confidence you have going into social situations. Like, you already have enough on your plate dealing with other insecurities, other things that as an entrepreneur, like the shit that we're figuring out as we go and the obstacles we have to overcome to run our business. And if you don't take advantage of something like this, I feel like you're leaving, money on the table. You're not using another tool in your toolbox. Why would you not want to access this tool to help yourself feel better and more comfortable? Like, I've got so many other issues to deal with. If I can not have this stressor on my plate, I'm another step forward in my journey. So.
And that's the thing also, is that because you have so many other things going on, you don't want to be looking down and be like, why do I wear this?
Yep.
Maybe you have to be thinking about.
Yeah, like anybody got time for that, because there's so many other things that you've got on your plate. And so I'm thrilled of how well this worked, and just the color palette and the styles. And I was so shocked. Also, like, I don't know how you found like the brands of clothes that worked for me so well. I know.
I must have a magic 8 ball. It's really, this is the thing that everyone thinks is really hard, is that getting dressed, the fashion industry makes it seem like it's this like fairy tale, mystical, like crazy thing that you can't figure out. So you keep going shopping. It's math and science. And once you know like what your measurements are, it's really easy to use the tools and to be able to go and figure out what's the right thing for you. So it's just knowing how to use the tools correctly. And they like to confuse us a lot, and give us trends and talk about like all of this stuff, when it's just really just understanding. And here's like the great thing is now you have a bunch of great brands to go check out, and really see what they're coming out with each season if you feel like you want to shop. And if not, you have great clothes now.
Yeah.
So they like to throw us for a loop. Can I ask you a question that I know came up before we started working together?
Okay.
And it's a question a lot of women have before they work with me. And it's a struggle that I've had my whole life as well. I don't really love my body today.
Mm-hmm.
Why should I be investing in clothes right now when it's not, when, I'm on either a weight loss journey, or this would be easier if I was 10 pounds lighter. A lot of the if when game comes because it's clothes. You are buying clothes. So, and some of the work that we do together, you're not immediately buying clothes, but ultimately you're investing in some clothing items. So can we just talk a little bit about what the mental things that were going on with you before we worked together, and what led you to decide that now was a good time to work on this?
Yeah, I've been struggling with not being happy where I'm at with, in my shape right now for a number of years. And of course, I was like, well, I've put it off before, and nothing was changing. And to me, it was kind of like, it was really more negative self-talk, the shaming into trying to lose weight, and to being like, you can't fit into anything, and that's what's going to make you want to try to lose the weight. It wasn't working. And I'm like, I can't keep doing the same thing, expecting different results. And I was tired of not liking how, where I was at. And instead of having my clothes be something that was just adding to that and still not doing anything for me, I was like, I could figure out what my style is. And this is an opportunity for me to feel good with where I'm at and help clothes that work with my body shape right now. But it still doesn't matter if it's identifying that style. And even if I was to, drop 40 pounds, I don't think it's really going to change my style that I've found. And to me, it doesn't matter if I was to get smaller or even bigger. Like, I still have this identified, and I wanted to be good to myself. Really, when I chose to work with you, I was like, I'm going to gift this to myself. I'm not gonna hold it out there like a reward. Like, once I lose the weight, then I can do this.
Carrot.
Yes, it was not the carrot anymore. I was like, give me that damn carrot. I'm going to take that carrot. And I chose, again, being intentional, to do something different and say, I'm gonna love myself and give this to myself, and have this be my reward. And maybe I will feel so good about the clothes, and this is so much more fun, that the weight will start coming off all on its own, because I'm just a happier person.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a big move for me for me, that's the kind of self-care you hear people talk about. That was something I could do for myself, that I had to make the choice to do. And it was good for me to do that. So yeah.
And then, like you said, you always have this tool, because what I feel is, again, society or retail, or we think of fashion as band-aids, and we think about it in this very moment. And so we're kind of just thinking about dealing with the next week, the next 2 weeks. And that's where the panic shopping comes in. And that's where what do I have this thing I need to go get for this thing. But we never take the time to really sit down and say, what do I like? What makes me feel good? What makes me feel confident? How do I actually accomplish that through my goal, through my clothes? Because you now have this gift that no matter what happens, you get to go back to that. Like, it's like, okay, I gained 5 pounds. I hope you gained 5 pounds, but like, what do I need to wear in order to feel good? Oh, I've lost 20 pounds. What do I need to do? And you get to focus on that as opposed to the number on the tag, which, I mean, the clothing industry is not the FDA. It is not regulated in any way, shape, or form. So the number on the tag meaning something should not, doesn't mean anything to anyone. But also really having those tools to focus on. So it's really becomes more about that. Because I've worked with women that have lost 150 pounds. They're not confident, even when they've lost 150 pounds, because they haven't done the work to figure out what makes them feel good. So they're
Right.
still hiding in their clothes.
Yeah.
So it's,
And that's the other thing that was another, I think, a difference with working with you that's different than just picking out clothes. And it was, like you said before, there's an identity associated with it. So it's like, it wasn't just what do I like on other people, like, but you took me through the process of like, what do you like? And what are some quirky things maybe about your personality or something fun, whether, and I focused in on fun shoes and that just identifying that one thing kind of grew into some other things that we discovered. And that's also what makes a difference, because it got me to really focus on what do I like? And I didn't, again, it wasn't like, will that work for this conference? Will that be appropriate for this or that? We like found a way to still incorporate it for appropriate situations. But the fact that it's you, it's not like you walked into some place and you look like her or that person. Like you really helped define the individual because of the process and making me look inward at what do I like. And that was like sort of also, some of those insecurities, feeling okay with what you like and being like, let's work with that. Let's focus on that. Don't shy away from that. Let's focus it. And we can tweak it to be appropriate for certain situations. I think that's super cool. And that's really what, what's getting you noticed is when it's you and not somebody else. And
right.
to stand out enough to say, this is me. And, when you like what you like, just go with it. So.
And leaning into that, like leaning into the quirky and leaning into that, because we've had this conversation before, is like, you really want to work with people you like stop someone else, you're going to attract the wrong person.
Yeah. And to dress like everybody else out there in these professional conferences, with black this and high heels that, like, you don't stand out if you're trying to dress like everybody else. What's in you, and that's you, and you will stand out more to so.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for this. I'm going to stop record and then we can chat more.
Okay.
I'll stop record though.
I just really wanted to